first grader, and I have been studying about the Wright brothers, and I am going to tell you a little bit about it. So first of all, I will show you a picture of them. Come on, Paige. Come on, Paige. So here is a picture of the Wright brothers.
Okay.
And also, do you remember how they got their interest? Well, their father was a pastor, and so he traveled on trips, and every once in a while, often, he'd bring them a little toy from his trip, and this is what he brought one time. It is a little flying machine. And then the boys, when they were young, they really wanted to make a flying machine, and so they grew up and they started making one. And here's another picture of when they're testing it. See?
Wow! Look at that flying machine. Whoops! Let's see here. There we go.
And
Look
see?
at that. Yes.
And also they had no running water.
Yeah.
No potties, no telephones, no electric stuff. So, but the same time around when they were inventing the plane, the telephone was being invented, and also the light bulb.
So there was lots of creative stuff going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that town had a lot of factories going on.
Okay.
So yeah, and also in here, it has this activity, and that we found out about, and it actually tells you that something about them that they did. So this isn't about.
Which one are you trying to find, honey?
About. Let me see. This isn't about the planes, but it is something good that they did.
Okay.
And it's right here.
Okay.
It says,
Wilbur.
Was it Wilbur?
Wilbur.
Wilbur was often nice to his mother, and he made something. It says he made her a rocking chair.
Yeah. His mother was rather sickly, wasn't she?
Yeah.
And he took care of her.
Yeah.
That was very nice.
Mom.
So what kind of things did the Wright brothers, what were their names? One was Wilbur. We just talked about him. What was the other one's name?
Mom.
Just a minute, Amy. Thank you.
It It was.
Remember his name?
It was
It's kind of a different name, wasn't it? Orville.
Orville.
Wilbur and Orville. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amy, just a minute, please. You're going to have to wait until after we're done. Okay, here, Kevin, stay in one spot instead of flitting all around the room. There we go. Okay, so what did they do for a living? Because they tried to make an airplane and stuff. They attempted that, but what did they do for a living in order to make money in order to make those airplanes?
They made bikes.
They sure did, didn't they?
Made and fixed bikes.
Yes, they did. And that gave them a lot of, since they had their own shop where they were making things anyway, that made it kind of easy for them to make plane parts, didn't it? Because they already had a lot of stuff to make stuff with, didn't they? Yeah. Okay. Very good. Let me see. What other questions did I want to ask you? Okay. Was anybody else, we know that they were interested in flight, but was there anybody else around them that was interested in flight?
Let me show you a picture of
Amy,
him.
not now,
See?
honey. Thank you.
What was his name again?
Which one?
This guy's name.
Oh, the rival?
Yeah.
Santos Dumont or something crazy like that.
He was, okay, so here's the
Mm-hmm.
person that was and he was the rival. He was in France.
Mm-hmm.
He was
A Frenchman? Is that what you're trying to say?
he
Oh,
was-
okay.
He was a French person,
Mm-hmm.
and he thought he was the first to fly,
Mm-hmm.
and but he wasn't the first one to fly,
Mm-hmm.
and his name was Santos Dumont,
Yeah, something like that. Mm-hmm.
and so he was very interested in their flight.
Mm-hmm. And what kind of advantage did Wilbur and Orville have over him? Because they invented something, because they did a lot of scientific research in what they did. What was it that they came up with that Santos Dumont and all them hadn't come up with yet?
Yeah. The other people that were trying to fly, they just thought that if you had, we have wings, we can just jump up in the air and we'll fly.
Well, it's a little more complicated than that, but yes, uh-huh.
Yeah, but the Wright brothers actually figured out that it's not just that there's these wings that flop around. And the wings bend. They been
twist,
studying birds, and they bend and twist, and then they straighten out, and they're balanced.
So the wings of the planes of the Wright brothers were flexible, weren't they? They could twist.
So they could twist and stuff and position right, and they actually figured it out.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So was it just smooth sailing for them, or did they meet up with a lot of bumps along the road? I mean, was it hard for them? What kind of challenges did they face while they were making their planes?
They had a few wrecks, but they didn't give up.
Well, and what else though? Because at first, the first models of airplanes that they made, they were based on some scientific calculations by another flyer named Lilienthal, Otto Lilienthal. And were those accurate? What happened with that?
They were not.
Yeah, they weren't accurate. So what did they do about that?
Well, they made up their own figures.
They branched out on their own, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they did. They did.
My pink shot is all dry.
Very good. Thank you, Amy. So, okay, so just a minute, Amy. Just a minute. Okay, so Lilienthal's figures were not right, and so they worked on their own. They didn't give up, did they?
Yeah.
They did not give up. Okay, so they first started test flying in about 1900, right?
Yeah.
So when were they finally ready to show the world what they could do? You remember the date? It was something really cool about the date.
It was The 8th day.
Of the 8th
Year.
of, yeah.
The
And
8th month.
that's right. It was August, the 8th month, 1908. Yes. And where did they bring their plane to?
France.
They brought it to France. Yes.
And to show them that they were the first ones to fly.
Yeah. Well, there were other people that had flown, but their airplanes were not safe. And
Yeah.
the one that the Wright brothers had, because of the wing warping that they came up with, that one was safer, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So tell me a little bit about how the Wright brothers got along, because they had a lot of figuring things out to do, a lot of work, and just the flying of the airplane itself. I mean, who got to do that?
There's a funny thing. They argued.
They
about
argued a lot, didn't they, when they were
Yeah.
trying to figure out how things worked?
And also when they were contesting about who would fly first,
Uh-huh.
then they'd flip a coin.
Yeah, they would. They'd flip a coin. That was a pretty good way to do it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Just a minute, Amy. You're going to have to wait till we're done, Amy. I'm sorry.
And then the next time, the other person got
That's right. They took
Without
turns, yeah. So they argued a lot trying to figure out how the scientific calculations should work, but they really had... Just a minute, please, I said. But they had a lot of respect for each other in the process, didn't
Yeah.
they? They did. They worked really well together. Who was the more outgoing one? There was one that was more bold in front of people, but yet the one was more creative. I mean, he was... Okay, so there's one that was more studious. In other words, he was into the books more. And then there was the other one that actually was good at, putting things together. And do you remember how that worked?
Who?
Okay, it was Wilbur that was the bookworm. He's the one that
he
got
was
into the books. Yeah, and it was Orville that was the more hands-on one.
Yeah.
Right? And who was the one that, whenever there were public speeches to give, or, actually test driving the plane, who was the more likely one to be bold enough to do that?
Wilbur.
Yeah, that's right. It was Wilbur. Very good. So they were different people, but they worked really well together, didn't they? Yeah. Okay, so just a minute, Amy. You're gonna have to wait. So what life lessons can we learn from those two? What are some important lessons?
They were creative, and I'm creative with the boxes.
Okay, so you're saying what you have in common with them. Okay, what other things do you have in common with them? Because you're right, you are very creative.
I don't give up.
You don't give up, yeah. Okay. Also, you're a pastor's kid, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, just like they were.
Yeah.
And are you homeschooled?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were homeschooled.
Well, yeah, I don't think they were only homeschooled. I think they did go to a formal school, but they certainly learned more at home than they did at school, didn't they? Because neither one of them went to college, did they? Neither one of them went to college, but they were definitely very well learned. Okay, and also, what's one more thing that you have in common with them?
They were very close to their siblings.
That's right.
Like I am to my sister.
Silly boy. Yes, you are very close to Amy, aren't you? She's the only sibling you have. You don't have a brother like they did, but yes, you're very close to her, aren't you? Yes. I know, and your sister's getting very antsy waiting for this video to be done. Okay, so what were some of the life lessons that we learned about them? We learned, not now. We learned about not giving up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What else? What were some other things that we learned about them that are important?
Being brave.
Being brave, that's right. Can you imagine going up in the air in one of those things and you didn't even know if it was really going to work or not? You could get killed doing that. Yeah, that would be you'd have to be very brave or foolish or something in order to do that, huh?
But they weren't foolish. They were actually...
Yeah, well, they had done their calculations. They'd done their homework, hadn't they? And so they figured it would work. And for the most part, it did. There were a few accidents along the way. But yeah, they finally figured it out, didn't they? Okay, so there were a couple more. One is, we talked a little bit about it, is being respectful, right?
Yeah.
They weren't just respectful to each other. They were respectful to their rivals, too, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were. They never said anything against them. Just a minute, please, honey. We're almost done. Oh, Kevin, honey. Okay, and there was one more thing. And that is that they did what they did. Why?
Because they loved it, not to show off.
That's right.
They were the best.
Yeah, that's right. They did. All right, so did you enjoy studying about the Wright brothers?
Yeah.
They were fun, weren't they? Okay, we're going to sign off now. You say bye.
Bye.